scissors, rock, paper, hand grenades, right? It's hand grenades.
How long you been doing this show, Gary? You're starting to sound like Norm. Can't even say
8 years.
Your own
Eight.
show.
8.
Oh my lord.
Well, yeah. So, hey, so they got a new app. This is pretty great. They got a new app for the senior citizens. It's a GPS thing. It
Well,
not
you won't
only
be able to use that for
no,
a few more
no,
years.
no. This is really great. So it not only tells you where you're going, but when you get there, it reminds you why you went. So I got to get that. Anyway, my accomplice is Josh Solomon, who I've known for many, many years. And tonight, I'm going to do something really cool, really different, is I'm going to shut up as much as possible, because our guest, Lily Tang Williams, grew up in China. And we see these moronic young people waving communist flags in the universities at protests, and it's like my mind wants to blow up because it's so stupid. It has never worked. It's killed hundreds of millions of people, and yet it's still a great idea. We can create utopia if we all just suffer together. But anyway, Lily grew up in China. You didn't I didn't escape Massachusetts till I was in my 30s. So you escaped China when you were 24. But I'd like to shut up mostly and have you go through the process, what it was like when you were little.
Well, I will try to summarize my life. Born in Sichuan province, which is next to Tibet, southwest China. Everybody loves Chinese food. Probably heard about Sichuan. That's a Sichuan spicy food.
Yeah.
People like that. So I was born in a capital city, Chengdu, to a working illiterate workers family. My dad is completely illiterate. My mom only had like maybe 3 grades in elementary school, born premature, very unhealthy. My dad was an orphan. That's why he never had a chance to go to one day of school to learn how to read in Chinese. He's one of the 6 children, but then his mom and dad actually were not too bad. They had some land. And my grandfather I never met, who was actually educated to write court papers for villagers in Sichuan. But he died of a mysterious disease. Before that, he sold all his land to treat his disease. We think it might be diabetes because my dad has diabetes now,
right,
but
yeah.
back then they didn't know. So I was basically born to working class family like that. My dad was adopted by his brother. And when the Communist Party went to the countryside after 1949 to recruit very strong young men to go to, help with the party's steel production campaign in the 50s, and they recruit my dad to say, hey, you have no education, but you look smart, you're very strong, muscular, and you want to work for Chinese government of that? Say, of course, I better not to be starved on the farm, because he had to work on the farm. And just basically take a day at a time to feed himself. So he joined the state enterprise, went to Chongqing for a couple of years, went to Chengdu to work, and met my mom, and got married with, back then when you get married, you have to get permission. You have to get your work unit's permission to let you to get married. Make sure you don't marry wrong people. So they got married.
Wait.
Yeah, really, something new.
Because
That's what mother-in-laws were for.
I know that's what my wife's dad said. Yeah. So when you say so, the government had to okay the marriage between your mom and dad.
What happens to my dad, because he was dirt poor, he was recruited to join the Communist Party. He was party member. That's what communism is. Everybody worked for government, and we only had one party dictatorship. So everybody who wanted to do well joined the party. So my dad was party member. If you marry somebody, you Communist Party boss in your factory got to make sure you are marrying a right person. So they will investigate on my mom's past, my mom's connections, make sure remember that Mao, I told you that divided people into 5 red and 5 black classes. If my mom was a black class, like landowners and capitalists, counter-revolutionary traders, stuff like that, they would not need my dad to marry her. But thank goodness my mom was also happened to be a red class. So they were red class, marry red class. So that when you get married in that
Now, what was so the black class was the people who had connections to capitalism,
yes,
and the red class were people who had connections to communism.
Peasants,
Or
workers, and soldiers, and officials like appointed by the parties, and also the murderers, like heroes and stuff like that. So that's exactly what I'm talking about when you say communism for the workers people to win. So my mom, dad, they're poor. They should be the ruling class of the country.
Right.
No.
That's
utopian. They were at the bottom of food chain. We got a very little food rationing coupon every month from local government to eat. Give you a concept how much we're allowed to eat. It's a 2.8 pounds of proteins food rationing coupons. You can buy all the meat, all the eggs, but the maximum 2.8 pounds.
For how many people?
For 5 people and for a month. A month.
For a
Wait.
2.8 pounds, so less than 3 pounds.
For a month?
For a month, for 5 people.
So for 5 people, you got 4 quarter pounders.
That's what I'm saying. You could eat a quarter pounder today, one meal. Or one
Wow.
day. Yeah. And
But that's utopia, because the communist government was...
well, I can tell you, I was starving child. My childhood memory most time just growling stomach, hungry, and that's why I'm getting heavy today because I love food. I can't have excuse to get fat. I love food. I love meat. People say, "Oh, are you vegetarian, Lily?" I say, "Oh, no, hell no. I was deprived of meat. I want meat." So when you have your birthday as a child, happy birthday, a boiled egg, it will make you happy that day. One boiled egg. I grew up without toys. Our 8 families live in a courtyard, which is subsidized by my dad's factory, free, no rent. But who wants to live there? I tell high school kids about communism. Do you want to live there? Do you want to share a bathroom with 8 families with children? Okay, one big hole on the ground, dug into the ground. You go there, squat. It's divided by little divider over the hole, half for woman, half for men. And you have to go there, find the 2 braids. You can squat for girls. At night, there's no light bulb. You don't know how to squat. You're afraid to go to the bathroom. And then once a month, you have a peasant coming to dug them all the human waste out to go dump into field. So you have room again to fill that up. So if you're not careful, when you go to the bathroom, you fall backwards, you'll be buried by human waste. It was a complete nightmare. I still dream about that bathroom. I live in that community housing. From my memory started, I was born and 1 year old, my parents moved there. And until I left to go to better apartment, my second apartment with my dad's community housing, I lived there from 1 year old to 15 years old. How could I not dream about that bathroom? But I don't have a picture of it. And the bathroom had bugs crawling and stinking in the summer and flying everywhere. If you're not careful, you step on those 2 bricks and you step on the bugs and they make a popping noise. That's what I was so freaked out about, everything crawling on the floor today. I'm so afraid of snakes and lizards because anything crawl on the floor connect with my old memory of worms on the floor. I step on them. I just have goosebumps come out. I still dream about that. But thank God I don't have to use that kind of bathroom anymore. But that's the community housing. 1 water faucet. So 8 families have 1 water faucet for water to come out. You have to stand in line. All water runs out. You cannot cook that day. So my dad's smart. He built an outdoor kitchen with concrete storage tank. So I'm the oldest child out of 3 children. So I'm the one who will get a big pot when nobody's in the line to go get the water and filled up. Walk to our house is like next to the dirty, stinky bathroom, but at the end of the courtyard. So I have to walk a long way from middle of the yard to the end of the yard, dump water 10 times. So we have 10 times water, so we have enough water. I got a very strong little muscles on my arms. When I went to college at 17 years old, we did the push-ups, right? And all the Shanghai girls, they don't do much manual work like that. They say, oh, you got the strong arms because I did the 50 push-ups, boom, 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 like that. Say, oh, you're so strong. I said, well, because I said I was born into working class people in the family. I had to do work. So
Right.
I cooked, I babysitted. Here's something that's not free. People might think communism, you should give everything for free. No, lies. We had to pay childcare. Because my parents could not pay for childcare for my baby brother, he was 1 year old. I was 6 year old, 6.5. Guess what? They begged me to stay home to babysit him. There's no child bills there, okay?
No.
Okay, because they could not afford it. They begged me to stay home, delay my schooling for a year.
Yeah.
And I had to do my family duty to stay home. I was scared, but I had to do it. So I that's why my baby brother and I are very close today. I was like his little mother. I had no toys and stuff, but I just babysitted him, fed him, changed diapers and stuff. And the public school, government school, not free. My parents could not even afford to pay our books fees. And until I come to the United States, my parents were always in debt, borrow money to pay this, to pay that. When I come to the United States, got my first paycheck as a graduate school research assistant, I pay off all my parents' debt. I also bought them a little black and white
In
TV.
one paycheck?
My one paycheck. Because the Chinese money was worth a lot. Chinese currency was a lot less. Like, for example, $1
It's like Canada.
Yeah. So, right. Yeah. So that's how I grew up. So by the time I got the chance to go to school, I was so motivated because I was pushed back. So I went to government school. I was such a motivated student, even though my parents are illiterate. But I knew the only way I can advance my future, have a better life than my parents as a poor working class, I have to get the best education. I studied so hard. My parents could not help me. I studied hard. I have very good memory. I was blessed with good intelligence. So I made 100% on every subject. When I was in school, I became school class president, recite, turn my mouth, read books and all that. But here's the story. Remember the red scarf you wear as a young pioneer for Chairman Mao, right? And I was 7 years old. I was a good student. I told my girlfriend, I would be the first one to join Young Pioneer to wear red scarf. Guess what? My girlfriend, that was during the Cultural Revolution, she reported to teacher about what I said. I got a call into teacher's office to say, I'm not going to nominate you to join Young Pioneer to wear red scarf because you were too confident. You were not like anybody else. You are full of yourself. My flaw was I was so individually expressive, have confidence in myself. I was bragging about my good grades. I did not wear my red scarf for.
I never had that problem in school.
Yeah, you never had that problem.
No, I never had good grades.
But the thing is though, when you have that kind of society, you have to conform. You have to say whatever other people are saying. You have to behave like them. I cannot be me. I cannot be individual little girl who likes to look pretty and be happy, smiling. I was criticized by smiling all the time. I was born happy. You can tell I have a very outgoing personality. But when the school indoctrinate you to say Taiwanese people are suffering, okay, they're starving to death. People are suffering in the world. We are grateful. We should say kumbaya to say thank you, Chairman Mao. We have some rice to eat. We're not starving to death. And you're not supposed to be happy all the time when they say, hey, it's not PC to be smiling. So I have learned very quickly to say something political if I just want to smile. Because at the beginning, I say, well, it's a nice day. It's not good enough because people are suffering. So I would say, Chairman Mao is talking to me. When he became a god-like figure during the Cultural Revolution, he was talking to me all the time. I was indoctrinated for so many years, every day in school. So he would, sometimes you see Chairman Mao smiling at you from the sky, in the clouds, in the fire you cook. So I would just say, I'm happy because Chairman Mao is talking to me. Everything is politicalized.
So that was okay.
That's okay. Good child, good girl.
Good girl.
Man, yes.
Wow.
That's why I hate PC. We hate PC because if I go running, exercise to become stronger, I want to look good. I want to look good, right? Feel good. I have to say something political. I'm exercise hard so I can serve my country. I can protect my country. You cannot just say, I want to look hot. No, that's totally not right. That's not PC at all. You have to say something political. It's a sick.
Tell some of the things you, because you would told me some of the things you, as a little kid, were forced to eat.
As a little kid, well, they give you very little food. We have coupons for everything, right? We had a coupon for rice and for meat and for fabrics, even for clothes, right? You only can buy so much fabric to make new clothes. I get one piece of new clothes for the whole year. So when we're hungry, what do? My parents will ask me to go out, just go pick up whatever you can get from outside the field. And because if you just have rice, you don't have bacon fat to cook vegetables, or rice, it tastes so plain. So we will boil the vegetables or weeds from field. When you run out of money for vegetables, they put a hot pepper sauce on top to eat. And in my grandma's courtyard, there were some rats running around. So my uncle told me, when she babysat me, how to trap rats. So we will burn the rats on the fire, then you chew the bones, get rid of skin. But pretty soon, rats run out too. So it's like Venezuela today, people run out of cats when they're hungry. They have no cats or dogs left to eat. And talk about pets. I mean, people today can have pets and dogs. No, back then when you're starving, no pets at all. It's illegal actually to have dogs. We had one neighborhood dog, 8 families, love this dog. And one neighbor owned this dog. And the police came to say, you violate the law. You cannot have dogs inside cities. Go kill your dog, or we'll come to take your dog away and kill the dog. So when everybody was starving, you know what my neighbor did? They killed the dog, and they cooked the dog. And every family got a little tiny bowl of dog meat. And the kids love this dog. Hungry at the same time, and tears come down.
Oh, wow.
Inhuman. Totally inhuman.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to interrupt the story, but these are not fun memories.
No.
And you said that you left 20 years ago?
Yeah, 1988 I left.
All right, so about
Yeah.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out how old she is.
No,
You're a
no,
sick human
no,
being.
I'm not. I'm wondering.
That's all right.
How much has changed since then.
Well, China changed a lot. What happens? I saw that change. Okay, when Mao died, economy was about to collapse. Then Deng Xiaoping took over, and his new practical socialism, he called that. Let's open up economy. Let's rebuild our country. Let the foreigners come in to invest because we need the capital. So his famous slogan is that let some people get rich first. Getting rich is glorious. Everybody say that. So he opened up economy, and for the first time, people have a choice now to go into business for themselves. One of my neighbor, everybody was working for state factory all their life, right? Like until you die. He quit. He was such a brave guy, young man. He said, I quit state job. I don't want that salary anymore. I'm going to go start restaurant business for myself so people can buy food from me. He was first one in my poor neighborhood get rich. He bought a motorcycle. We're so impressed with his brand new motorcycle. Then later he built a house for his parents in the suburb, in the countryside to live, their own little brick, village house. And by the time I went to college, he was still doing very well. And he even bought me a brand new shirt, a long sleeve pink shirt, as a gift to me. And I always call him like a brother. Like I said, thank you. He said, well, you go be a good student now. You go get your best education to study law. He was so impressed. I was going to start the law. So in college, my best time in life that time was 4 years in college. 1981 to 85, it was China's cultural renaissance. So people were talking about lots of things because it's opened up. encouragement. We can talk about what kind of political system we should have. Should we have democracy? Should we have two-party? Or should we have some reforms? And
You said they couldn't talk about
we
that?
we could.
Oh,
As a
okay.
student. That's why I called it was like a Chinese cultural renaissance, right? And the young people were making Chinese rock and roll songs, like a guitar, heavy metal, rock and roll, and we were doing dancing parties. At the beginning, State Department was saying, you cannot dance, college students, that's just not political correct, capitalist lifestyle, Western lifestyle. And later, they just couldn't stop us. We were dancing anyway in the hallways. When they shut down our lights in the dormitory, 10 p.m. at night, we wanted to dance in the hallway because they could not shut down hallway lights. We have to go to public bathroom in the hallway. We have to go pee at night, so they have to leave lights on. We're dancing with our little boombox. So later they later had, oh, you can't have a party. So we had awards. We have like a, jitterbug, and then we loved the disco because we never heard such a, high beat, exciting music where you can just move your body any way you want. Instead of, yes sir, yes ma'am, right? Was like oppressed for so many years. Then you dance in discos like, yes, like you shake your booty, and it was great. I remember I feel so free, so liberated that time, and the foreign students coming, foreign professors coming, and we were dying to know, hey, tell me about your country, what it's like outside of China. And I met this American student, and he's the one who told me about America, and he showed me a pocket constitution. He told me about first graph. My English was not good. That's why he read to me, oh man, I'll create it equal. I even don't understand that. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, it doesn't matter, lady. You're Chinese, you're a woman, you have yellow skin. You are created by your creator. You have equal individual rights with every other human being. Oh, it's like my light bulb came on. To see a foreign professor that time, a student, you have to register at their building to say who are you going to say what can talk about, time in, time out. Is that horrible? So when I go back to see him, I know what talk about something I'm not supposed to talk about. Individual rights and freedom. Say, but I said, well, I have rights. I'm telling me, so I just didn't. I refused to register. I would just cheat. So when the old lady go to bathroom or go to pour her hot tea, I would just run upstairs very quiet to talk to the student and come back. That's why I learned about U.S. Constitution, separation of powers, and the Second Amendment. I said, this is a cool country. If I have to go someday, leave China, this country I will come. And I don't want to go Europe. I said Europe just have kings and queens,
Now you were studying for law in China.
Yeah, one of the best universities in Shanghai, in China.
So what's the difference between a law degree in China? What is there?
It's a 4 years college degree.
Right,
so
but
I was there
what is
from
it about?
17 years old to 21 years old. When I was studying law, I thought I just want to have China rule of law society. But when we went to law school, I become totally depressed because they told us the law was just tool to use by the government to govern its masses. So you are not even citizen, you are masses. You are one of the numbers. And I just got rid of Mao as my god, because remember when Mao died, I was wondering who lied to me. I wanted to search for truth. But later the party.
No, wait. When you say when Mao died, you wanted to know who lied to you.
Yeah, because
you thought he was a god. So
he
how
should
could
not die. Yeah, he should not die. But nobody could tell me until the party, Communist Party, the only party, ruling party in China, come out later, before 1981, to say Mao is not God. He was a human being. He made a mistake. The 10 years cultural revolution was a mistake. So I thought, oh, okay, all right, I was lost soul. I'm going to search for truth in college. I'm going to study law. But then in law school, they told me there's no justice, liberty for all. The law is a tool. It's a Soviet Union model law, legal system. So you are guilty until you prove yourself to be innocent. I become lost again. So I was going to dancing party every night, every part, like weekend night, and talking to foreign
So
students.
you became disillusioned by the.
Extremely. I did not know what I should believe anymore. Of course, I was raised as a Buddhist. I did not even have any much Buddhism in me because our temples were shutting down. We were told, if you believe other God, you can never join Mao's Young Pioneer, Red Guards organizations.
Okay, yeah, right.
So we have to say, no, it's atheist. I'm an atheist. I believe in Chen Mao. So the only religion left for you to believe is communism.
Wow.
You could not believe any other religion. Like Christianity, our temples, all were shutting down.
Do you know of any Marxism or communism that isn't fundamentally atheism?
Well, that's what they promote. There's no God, but the Mao become our God. So they want to.
Or the state, or
The statism is your religion. So that's why we have so many people going to China after they open up. They're trying to bring their religion, their missionaries, right? I even met some Mormon missionaries in Shanghai. There's a huge community. But they still don't like you believe other religion because they cannot control your mind. They're talking about rewrite the Bible today, and they don't want the Christians to have a cross on their buildings. See, you would say churches naturally have a cross on the buildings, but to get a permit from state to have a church in China, you cannot have cross on your buildings. That's
like,
what
weren't they just burning Bibles in Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh, what a coincidence.
So there's lots of cultural similarities between Mao's Cultural
They're not
Revolution
burning
and
the
this
Bible, they're
one.
burning the message.
Oh, that's
They-
much better.
they-
I didn't know.
Yeah. The thing is, we, even today in New China, right? You think China got better economically, but right now under this new chairman, Xi, we are going backwards. He just ordered libraries to pull out lots of books. Like
He also shutting down churches.
shutting down churches, and the biggest human rights abuses in China's Muslim region, which is northwest Xinjiang province. When you say that, they talk about about 1 million people.
The Uyghurs.
Uyghurs are in the concentration camps, and you, as a foreigner or as American, you cannot go there visit when you go to China. Tibet, no visit. So all the religions are marginalized. You have to comply with their party requirement. Home churches are banned. In my hometown, there were lots of home churches because
Wait.
Home churches.
Wait.
Home churches are banned.
are banned.
How do you do that?
California. The governor of California just said because of COVID-19, you can't have any home churches.
Right.
The governor of California.
Well-
have they been? Is he talking with the Chinese?
I
or?
don't know. I just don't understand. Lots of Americans don't understand so many similarities between this country and the country I lived under communism. How come there are so many similarities, but people don't question that? People think for public security, for public goods, we all have to suffer. We all have to make sacrifices. But
That's a good point right
that's
there.
exactly what I was
It's
told
being
in
shoved-
China.
It's being shoved down our throats that you need to do these things and these things. You need to speak like this. You need to speak politically correctly.
can't say
need
this,
To,
you
you need
can't-
to wear this mask, and you need to do it all for the public good. Right?
But I cannot buy that because I bought into that in China already.
Right.
How do you convince me, a former Chinese immigrant who fled communist country?
I'm going to say, thank
to
God
do
they're
that?
never going to be able to convince you.
I can,
That's
and also us because it's like I have been that, I have heard that, I have done that. I'm an American citizen now. I have individual rights and freedom. I'm going to speak the truth. I'm going to defend our country, who is founded by our founding fathers on individual rights and liberty. Nobody can, I hope nobody can call me racist, right? By saying something like that.
Oh, well,
Let them try.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they will.
Well, but it doesn't matter. Name calling is just shut down free speech because we were not allowed to think. I think I mentioned this many times. When we were growing up in China under Mao, we write diaries. In your diaries, it's all about confession. You need to say, "Dear Chiang Mao, I confess to you, I thought about something was not politically correct. I heard that my neighbor say something is not politically correct. I apologize. I'm sorry. I know by having straight smart sense that I better not say some stupid getting my parents into trouble because this diary is not private. I know it's not private. I learned at the age of 7, it's a conformity. You have to be one of those people in your collective society. Otherwise, you get into trouble. You cannot be individual. So it's like I see that people are being canceled in this country. Even the liberals are canceling liberals just because they don't like what you said. You say one thing is not right, everybody just attack you, want to shut you down. It's like, where is line? How far are we going to go down this path?
Well, we haven't found the line yet, and hopefully we do soon.
Well, the thing is, it's like if you've ever worked in a manufacturing plant where you're working on a project, okay? The best projects come from a group of people bouncing ideas off each other. And that means all ideas, right? The reason SpaceX is so successful is because, what's his name?
Elon.
Elon Musk
Yeah.
is humble enough to realize that he doesn't have all the answers, and he's willing to listen to suggestions from all kinds of different people, right? And that's how you achieve great things.
Yeah.
And that's what this country was founded on. If we start shutting down free speech, that means there's just going to be a narrow bandwidth of ideas that are acceptable, and the country will dive bomb.
That means you only have one ideology left.
You'll only have one ideology left.
So America's not perfect, right? I love this new country, but it's not perfect. So you want the people to contribute different ideas and the different solutions to work things out.
Right, exactly.
To solve problems. My one brain is not as good as 100 brains out there. So let's work together, have conversations. How do we solve this problem? I understand lots of people who are compassionate, they mean well, they want to solve problems, but their good intentions can be taken advantage of by hungry people for power. Oh, those people, they're going to vote for more government program, more government solutions, so we are going to be just take over the government and do whatever we want. So pretty soon, your good intentions will never work out. Just like in China, right? Workers' parents all supported Mao and communists, and so they were the saviors of us because we're so dirty poor. But guess what? We're starving to death after they become in power.
That's another thing that's taking place is this business of the liberals in this country setting themselves up to be the saviors, right? Saying, you should vote for me because I'm going to save you. I'm going to give you free money. I'm going to
yes, Mao was savior
I'm going to
too,
take all of this money from these rich people. I'm going to tax them.
That's exactly
and
what
I'm
Mao
going,
said.
And I'm going to create these things for you and
Yeah.
save you. And so, but the end result is it forces you down further.
You know, Mao put so much hatred into peasants' mind. And some peasants say, well, I have a good job with my landlord and I work, I get fed. I cannot think about anything to really come out to attack him with. So, and they want you to think again. And they give you clues. They basically want you to be very angry because they promise you, if you do this, we're going to give his land to you. Mm-hmm. So, right, because land reform in the 50s, guess how long the peasants had their own land temporarily? Maybe a couple years. They took all the land back, people's commune. So Mao, actually, even today in Chinese constitution, the land belongs to the people. Who are the people? People in power. So land belongs to the state. You can buy your private property, build on top of the land today, but you cannot own the land. That's why I never bought properties in China. Because I'm a real estate investor, we have rental property here in this country. Nope. I don't trust that because you cannot own the land under that structure.
So I have this habit at night. I love going through the Facebook videos because they're usually short and there's some of them are pretty informative. And I listen to John Stossel a lot because I think he's a pretty sharp dude. and that's where we had already I think it had already invited you on the show, and I'm going through. Oh crap! He was interviewing Lily.
That was 2017.
Yeah,
2017.
But one of the things I think it was in that interview you mentioned was that the party always told you that utopia was right around the corner.
Well, Mao said if everybody can have braised beef in soy sauce with potatoes, then communism will be fully fulfilled. We were starving. Oh, have that beef dish every day will be communism. It never came. Under Mao, from 1959 to 61, mass famine happened. Lots of young people in this country don't know about that. 20 million to 40 million people estimated died of starvation. In my agriculture-rich land of Sichuan province, their children died. And in order to survive, they swapped children's dead bodies to eat. Can you imagine that? Millions of people died. And at the beginning, nobody could have the nerve to tell the central government because you dare to challenge Mao's central planning policy, his agricultural policy. People are dying. Remember, all the officials are appointed, not elected. So nobody sometimes can tell truth. Same thing with COVID cover up. You don't want to tell the boss truth, you get fired. So it's just a horrible system because they're not accountable to the people. So, and also because of tracking system, they starved people on the land in Chinese villages. They could not even go back. You have to have a piece of paper to move from your village, your town, to another city, another town to beg. So people just die locally because you don't have the paper to go begging. They track you there. They still have that tracking system. Now today called the social credit system. It's digital. Right. They track you like animals.
Well,
you have zero privacy.
Whoa. Okay, so when they track me on my cell phone for COVID-19, that's only for good. That is because the state loves me.
Oh, yeah, you think Americans are bad? Yeah, right, yeah. That's why people always say, oh, we love you children. They belong to the state. They belong to the village. Okay, you love my children more than I do? What are their names? Just ask them.
Right.
They don't know your children.
No, they don't.
How could they say they love your children more? And now you see people who don't want to open schools. Guess you think they really care about your children? And children are depressed, are committed suicide.
That one's bothering me the
most. And turn to drug abuse during all this extended shutdowns.
The only group in the country that's refusing to go back to work are the public school teachers.
Well,
not teachers, unions.
No.
Okay, well, but in any case, these people that don't want to go back to work, do I really want my children being educated by these people who don't want to go back to work?
Yeah. Here's the thing. I have met lots of teachers who invite me to go to their school, include Democrat teachers. There are lots of good teachers, but I'm telling you, okay, they cannot decide on the policy issues because unions leaders do. Also, they are afraid to voice their opinions. They can get fired by their schools, by their district. They are afraid. So I told them, you know what? My teachers were afraid in China. If this is something not in line with the party rhetoric's guidelines, out, because they all work for government.
Right.
And when the system become that bad, like under socialism, communist system, you have no right to even have unions anymore. Even today in China, no unions. Because the unions, you want to have unions, it will be a communist party boss committee to sit in your factory and watch everybody. They don't care about unions. You don't have right to unionize.
Well, the thing is, a union would necessarily imply that the Communist Party wasn't doing their job, or you wouldn't need a union.
Well, I think it's I watched this American movie. I don't know if you watch it, called The Reds. The Reds. People who were young journalists were so naive during the probably that times like 30s or 40s to support communism, Marxism because it sounds so good. Why do people buy into those ideologies? Because it sounds wonderful. Just like you free stuff, equality, justice, and the workers' rule all sounds wonderful. Until this journalist went to Russia, work for party. They would not even let him to go home, visit his American wife. He died in Russia. When he died, his wife was there, found him, He said, I just miss New York. That's where they're home. I just want to go home with you. Because the party said, you're fighting for public goods now. You believe in communism. Now the party order you stay here, fight. And he wrote a report about the journalist report, and they changed it without telling him, because language, different languages. So it's people don't realize once you have that kind of system, you no longer have any freedom.
No, well, my understanding is what they usually do is they have, if you look at the university system, it is a socialist system, right? People get paid basically no matter what, and they all get paid similar, and I shouldn't say that, I don't know if that's true, but they all get paid, and and it breeds socialism. So what happens is you get those university professors and news reporters, and they all support this communist idea because, like you said, it sounds fair. It sounds like you won't have all these, rich billionaires. It'll be fair. Oprah Winfrey will have her money cleaned out, give it to everybody. It's all fair. And so once they implement it, though, they don't need those idiots. So they kill them. They typically will kill all those news reporters and the professors, and implement and install educators that will support the party.
Right.
Because once the party gets going, it's like this party from hell. And once it gets going, they realize the reality is starvation and poverty.
Right, they cleanse it. They will do cleansing.
They're cleansing.
Yeah, right. Even today, the journalists in China, you needed to be licensed. Journalists need to be licensed by the state.
Right.
They need to study Chairman Xi's thoughts and maybe pass test, okay? That's a political test. So they want to know where you are. That's why you cannot have a true truth in China. I don't blame my Chinese family friends. Sometimes they sound just so brainwashed. I don't want to talk to them about American politics at all because they're so brainwashed. And they also don't know really what's going on in China because it's party-controlled TVs, radio stations, newspapers, and journalists are licensed. You can have to say whatever they want to say. So where do the Chinese people get the truth? And Chinese young people think love your country equals love Communist Party.
Right.
If I go to university today, let's say in California or somewhere, to talk like this, talk about just my personal stories, how to grow up, they will probably be the first one to protest and walk out to say, she's bashing China. And tell me what I said is not true because they really don't know what happened to us during the Cultural Revolution. You cannot even search for that word in China. You cannot search for June 4th massacre. And now you probably...
What was the June 4th massacre?
1989.
Tiananmen
Square massacre.
Right.
You cannot even get a number.
Well, I know, but what was... Because a lot of viewers are younger and don't know.
So 1989, I told you about 80s was a Chinese cultural renaissance. We're talking about more democracy, more political reforms, more free speech and dance parties and rock and roll. And then 1989, when the power struggle broke out, Hu Yaobang is the former Chinese, basically the premier died. So students use the opportunity to mourn his death. He was very into political reforms, and with Zhao Ziyang also. And he died. The people mourn his death. Then later they start to say, you know what? We need to carry on his unfinished cause. Let's ask for more reforms. At the beginning, they just want to have some dialogues with the leaders in Beijing to talk about political reform. Not even talk about overthrow anything, right? Those kids are patriotic. They love their country, and they're brightest, of the young people, Beijing, all those good universities. But after a long time they were in Tiananmen Square, Deng Xiaoping decided to clear them out and to tie up the party control. So he asked the Beijing troops to go to Tiananmen Square. Remember the Tang men?
Yeah.
Those were big, and those tank men basically later, the general in Beijing resisted and did not fire shots. So then Deng Xiaoping went to Hunan, Hubei, inner China to say, come in to clear the square, Tiananmen Square. So estimated 10,000 students, workers died, and they don't have names today. And their file is sealed. You don't know who died. They still deny that many people died. The Tiananmen Square will call their mothers. They're still waiting for their kids' name to be corrected. They're no longer counter-revolutionaries. They want to have a day to say that, they have an official title or burial or something. Some of the mothers are already too old. They died too. So we still call those Tiananmen mothers, want to see that day. But when you today, you're under Xi, look at what they did to Hong Kong, what they did to Falun Gong practitioners, and they're trying to do to Taiwan, bully Taiwan. I don't think those mothers can have that day when they're still living to say their children's names will be corrected. They will have official title like
So that iconic photograph of that guy standing in front of the tanks, those tanks did stop, but that day, but other forces came in afterwards and just wiped out everybody.
Well, that I have to go back to verify to say those are the same tanks from Beijing or from outside Beijing.
Okay.
Because I remember I was in the United States already. I was in UT Austin as graduate student. We glued to TV, watched that every day. And I had friends in Tiananmen Square who worked for Xinhua News Agency. He told me they fired. We all cried. We all gave up hope.
Wow.
I don't know where he is today. He probably left to go to some other foreign country also. I don't know how to find him. But he said that he called them bad names, yes. But he said, Lily, we all cried. We all lost hope completely. So we raised money to help those victim families. We lost hope too as the overseas Chinese student that time. That's when Bush actually issued the political refugee status to protect all the overseas Chinese students. We didn't have to go back. So I always tell my husband, you know what? I didn't have to. He was kidding me. Oh, you marry me for my green card. Sometimes we're laughing. I said, no, I don't have to because Bush gave a refugee status to all the Chinese students, But we were dating in 1989. We got married in 1990. So I didn't have to go through Bush's status. But those kind of things you cannot know in China today. The young people cannot search them.
My understanding it's been completely wiped from the internet, history books, journalism.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Right,
But the thing
It
is,
never took place.
But the thing is, if you look today, okay, just this week, there was a group of doctors who had a meeting. I forget what they're called. The group talking about the what they believe is the truth.
Frontline doctors.
Yeah. The frontline doctors got together and said what they believed was the truth about COVID-19.
Well,
Those videos were scrubbed. So that same thing you're talking about in China where they scrub information is happening now in the United States.
Right. I post that. I got fact checked so that my video is dark now. That's exactly I posted,
You must be having flashbacks right now.
And I said, what? Shutting down doctors, especially doctors who work
You're
with
not
patients
being
directly.
fact-checked. You're being shut up is what's happening.
Well, it's like, this is what they did in China.
Exactly.
You don't have to agree with those doctors.
You don't.
But I said, how come we are treated like children? We cannot form our own opinions.
Well, that's just it. If in a country that cherishes free speech as one of the first part of that Bill of Rights, part of the reason for that is to have varying opinions, like we were talking about earlier.
You can make your own decisions.
And so I can, if I come out with a harebrained idea, which I have a lot of.
A few of them. You haven't brought any new models and inventions
Yeah,
on
I know. I gotta come up-
lately.
But if I come up with a harebrained idea, so what? I still should be able to express it
Well.
without fear. And if it's not a great idea, well, then people will say, well, he's nuts, which would be true. And so, but I'm saying is the suppression of ideas is the same thing you escape from, and now we're seeing it again.
It's a very dangerous path because when you shut down free speech, I think it's the foundation of free civil society, open society. Because if you shut down free speech, you are shutting down also people's thoughts,
Yeah.
You're going to shut down journalists. Pretty soon you're going to shut down comedians. They cannot even say whatever they want to make people laugh.
They don't.
that's already-
That's
it's
already
already
happened.
I know. Look at that. Look at that. I think they're going to cancel lots of people. It's like, are we letting those Karl Marx groups and they're just taking over?
Yeah, they are.
In the name of public good, racial justice, whatever fancy name they want to use. But to me, it's all danger. I say danger. That's why I'm telling people I'm doing like 2 or 3 interviews a week because I'm so worried for my new country. And lots of people who live here, I like, doesn't matter. I don't think of my fellow citizens are my enemies. I always trying to have a conversation with Democrat friends. Believe it or not, I see them as my friends. They might just have different ideas or solutions, but they're not my enemies. But they want to shut all us down. So I want to particularly speak to Democrat friends. It's very dangerous. You don't want to shut down free speech.
No.
Because if you shut that down, imagine you don't like communism, you don't like totalitarianism, but that's exactly what we will have in this country. So what happened to me can happen to your children and your grandchildren. I have 3 children in this country. I feel really very passionate about this. We got to stop this.
Yeah. Yeah, what did I hear? A good quote the other day is, you can vote your way into socialism, but you have to shoot your way out.
Right, but you cannot even shoot out right now in Chinese. 1.4 billion Chinese today are disarmed. Okay, if you have a toy gun, even point outside, you can get arrested. And so how do you find the tyrants? I don't know. They have choppers, kitchen knives, right? It's like chopsticks. So you cannot. That's why people in China, I really feel their pain. They're being brainwashed. And they're being suppressed. And then they cannot defend themselves because they have no weapons. So thank God for our Second Amendment in this country.
How did you survive? You weren't. They didn't have the one-child policy when you were born?
No, it was right after my 2 brothers were born in the early 80s. They started implement one-child policy.
Do they still have that?
No, now it's 2 children. So it's always the government getting involved with your personal life, okay, and tell you. And also, here's this.
Well, I've got 5.
Yeah,
so
you'll be not a political correct. You cannot get a promotion, okay? But here's the thing. When you go get a cell phone now in China today, you have to scan your face and voice. You cannot get your phone otherwise, cell phone. They push everything. You pay everything.
No burner phones, huh?
That means they're tracking you. When you go to China,
They have facial recognition software on
300 million cameras
Yeah.
in Chinese big cities, public places. Facial recognition cameras constantly on.
Yeah.
It's 1984.
So you have one
everywhere.
camera for every 4 people.
Yeah, and it's called a social credit system. That's why TikTok, I keep telling young people, don't use it. Ban it, remove it from your phone, because TikTok is not just to keep tracking you use their software, the app. They're tracking every other app, including your financial institution app on your phone.
We got to wrap it up. So one of the things they're doing right now is collecting people's DNA in China. And my understanding is one of the justification is so that they can have designer viruses that only attack certain groups of people. So in other words, if they can find the DNA strand of Uyghurs, they could just wipe out the Uyghurs.
Well, I heard they are forcing Uyghur women now to be sterilized so they cannot have children. They don't like that group, so they want to wipe them out. They also send a man to concentration camps
like
and
Planned
send a
Parenthood.
Han Chinese men to go, like party cadres, to go to live in those homes with those Muslim women, wives. Their husband are gone, but they're going to send the officials to your homes to monitor you and maybe to build a relationship even, and so you can change your culture, you can change your faith. It's sick.
Okay,
It's
so
sick.
we have to go because the next show's on. Lily, you're awesome. We are not worthy.
Well, I
Remember that?
I thank you for having me. If people like my stories, want to follow me, I'm active on Facebook, Lily for Liberty, every day. And I have a Twitter handle, Lily for Liberty. So feel free to go there and share my stories. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Lily.
Hey, we'll see you guys next week.